Since I was little, I've lived in a fairly well-off family. Lucky, you might say? Yes and no. My father was a chemist and my mother worked in luxury real estate sales. I was never in need of anything. I lived in a very well-known neighborhood, and I had a small family. But I always felt like I didn't belong. God knows why? I was the youngest in the family, and my parents had pinned a lot of hope on me. They made me work like crazy all the time. From the beginning of my schooling, I had to work, and work again. I had almost no friends, nothing. The few times I complained about it, people told me I was lucky to have parents like mine. Even my own teachers agreed. I ended up developing anxiety disorders very quickly during my childhood because my parents constantly watched me, and also because of the bullying I suffered at school. The rare times I spoke to my father about it, he said I was a coward and that I had to get off my back if I wanted to succeed. The only person who gave me the slightest consideration was my sister, because at least she suspected something was wrong. To try to earn a modicum of love from my parents, sometimes I deliberately skipped class and pretended I'd disappeared to see if it would make them react. I had a real obsession with it back then. I always ended up coming home a few hours later, and each time I found they were just angry, and that was it. I did it so many times that they ended up suspecting I was secretly using drugs, or that I was going to deal. Gradually, I ended up becoming addicted to alcohol. I drank in secret because both at home and at school, everything was strict. So I would take advantage of break times to go to the bathroom and drink. Sometimes I ended up half drunk, so the principal would call my parents to come get me. I was threatened with expulsion several times, and that made my parents even more angry. Sometimes I would enjoy locking myself in the school bathroom and then listen to the guards screaming and looking for me. From the very beginning of my life, I really had this obsession with disappearing from the radar. Around high school, I increasingly had one idea in mind: to pretend to be dead to escape this shitty life. So I researched a lot of cases of strange disappearances to see how it worked. I went on anonymous forums, typically like Reddit, to find out how people could change their identity, etc. It was my dream to start from scratch. And then, finally, a stroke of luck. My family finally decided to organize a vacation. It was only then that my mother seemed to feel a hint of empathy for me. Anyway, we got together to decide on a vacation destination, and I took the opportunity to develop my stroke of genius. I wanted so badly to disappear from this life that for several months beforehand, I'd been researching the countries where faking one's death was easiest. I'd thought of one country in particular that I wouldn't mention, so let's say Germany instead. Why? It's one of the countries with the highest levels of human and organ trafficking. All it took was for me to slip away for one night, and presto, they'd quickly suspect a kidnapping. So, through negotiations, talking about luxury hotels there, water activities, and so on, I managed to convince them it wasn't so bad after all, and that we could have fun. To really get them in the mood, I promised them I'd work like crazy after this vacation if we went there. Bingo, they bought it. I prepared my move in advance. Several weeks before leaving, I discreetly searched my father's things, his computer, etc., to try to get interesting information like his bank account codes. In the end, it wasn't that difficult. It was written on a post-it LOL. I had inquired about his bank to know when they would react if I made large transfers, etc. So I worked it out well. This vacation fell right when I was about to turn 18, another sign from heaven telling me to leave. For those at the back who don't understand, if you leave home at 18 without warning, not only can your parents not force you to come back, but you can also leave with some of their money without fear of reprisals, because you're their child, and your unexpected departure is a sign of a problem in your family. So very methodically, I regularly withdraw small amounts of money with one of his bank cards. Each trip to an ATM to withdraw money is spaced 24 hours apart, because you never know. I knew my father had so much money that he didn't necessarily check his bank account, so I knew I could withdraw it without getting ripped off. I just had to be wary of the bank. About a week before leaving for vacation, I had hidden more than 25,000 euros. Fortunately, the bank still hadn't responded, but I knew it would soon, so I had in mind to disappear as soon as the vacation started, so everything wouldn't fall apart. So this last week, I did nothing to calm things down and avoid ruining my plan. So that was it. We finally left on the big day. We finally arrived at our destination, etc., etc. We checked into our hotel, settled in, and enjoyed ourselves. We ate luxury food, we had a spa, etc. I was having a blast before leaving this hell for good. I didn't hesitate to rack up my parents' bill by buying extras everywhere. That same evening, I ended up having some alone time with my sister, whom I cared about a little. She had advantages over me, she was freer, but I had nothing against her. So to avoid having any regrets, I told her I cared about her for the first time in my life. It was very awkward because I'm not used to showing affection towards family members, but I did it. She told me she did too, and when she told me that, for a moment, I hesitated to go back because I finally had a little proof of love from someone. But I remembered that the main problem was my parents. and that put me back on the right track to continue. So, very late in the evening, I pretended I wanted to go to the hotel's public pool to go swimming. It didn't seem strange at all because not only did everything stay open very late, but they also had some kind of party going on, so I could blend in quite easily. I made sure to hide my things in a huge bush not far from the walls surrounding the pool, so I could leave quickly and quietly. While my sister and parents were at the other end of the hotel eating, I was packing my things. Plus, I'd thought about the location carefully because the bush was almost hidden from the overhead cameras, and it was a perfect access point to exit the hotel by quickly scaling the walls. I managed to get out, and I got out of there once and for all. It wasn't easy. I can't describe the feeling I experienced. A mixture of sadness, happiness, and melancholy, a touch of mourning. I realized what I was doing because the theory is one thing, but putting it into practice is something else. I accepted it, I continued. I knew the risks because leaving your parents' yoke in a foreign country is much more difficult than doing it at home. But I wanted to leave them with doubt about my departure, to make them believe I'd been kidnapped, disappeared. Yes, it's strange, but I wanted it. You're free to think what you want about this act. I had carefully analyzed the routes on Google Maps beforehand, and of course, I kept my phone with me. So I knew where I was going, and I also planned to change my clothes to leave as little trace as possible. What I'm about to tell you is a bit sadistic, but I spread my old clothes on the ground much further from the hotel to leave even more doubt about my departure. I wanted to make them regret them. My new clothes were a hoodie to hide as much as possible. I even brought another bag to store my belongings from my old one. I had a complete makeover. Everything was planned. I had booked a plane ticket with my father's credit card without him knowing, well before leaving. I just had to spend the night somewhere without getting ripped off, and that was it. Luckily, the hotel was located in a very nocturnal city, so it wasn't difficult to find shelter. I got drunk at a bar not far from the airport, which was about an hour-and-a-half walk from the hotel. It was a celebratory binge. I spent the night wandering around outside, staying discreet, not knowing if the cops would swoop down on me. As I told you, our hotel has activities very late at night, so I could count on that to stay invisible for a long time. The night was very long, but I made it through, and against all odds, I managed to catch my plane. I asked myself a lot of questions. Whether I really should do it, etc. To tell you the truth, I even planned a lie to tell if I ever wanted to back out. I was going to pretend I'd been kidnapped by people, but that I managed to escape. The lie may seem strange, but in the country we were in, it was normal, so it was acceptable. In the end, I never turned back, and as I told you, I managed to fly back to my country. From there, hitchhiking and taking buses, I managed to get home after long hours of traveling to retrieve things I might have forgotten, thanks to my spare keys. And then I left that life once and for all. I won't say any more about what happened next, as that would force me to give too much specific information. But as the title suggests, I succeeded. It's been 6 years since I last saw them, and I've moved on with my life. Today I'm a father with a child, and I'm much happier than before. To cut it very short, I managed to keep my identity secret, etc., while asking the authorities and the public administration not to share anything about me with my parents due to a family breakdown. About once a year, I check my sister's Facebook page, and the thing that sometimes makes me regret my decision is that she leaves a message on my Facebook wall on my birthday, asking if I'm still alive. She's really the only person who cared about me in my old life. I swore to myself I'd get back in touch with her when my parents died. Before I finish here, I want to explain a few things. Why didn't I just run away from home instead of waiting for the holidays? 1, because my majority fell during the holidays. 2, because I wanted to pretend I was dead. It was my greatest wish. Did it work? I don't know. But at least I'm far away from all that. How did I manage to rebuild my life? With the money I stole from my father, I managed to find a roommate through student groups online. In the meantime, I had to hang out outside like a homeless person, but oh well. Gradually, I gained my independence through work, etc., and here I am today. So yes, I'm not as rich as before, but I'm not doing anything wrong. Peace. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that creepy story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next one. I've got plenty more terrifying tales waiting for you, so go check out the other videos on the channel. Catch you in the next one, if you dare.